Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the Tesla Cybertruck and the Tesla Semitruck as well. We've got some big updates for both of them. Before we get into the video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Now we're going to start with the updates for the Cybertruck, then we're going to dive into the updates with the Semitruck, and then we're going to finish things off with how this will affect the EV market as a whole. So starting with the Cybertruck, Elon Musk has basically told us that production will finally start next year. He's been saying that since like 2019 though, so it's kind of hard to take him seriously at this point. It's like the boy who cried wolf, right? And so yes, hopefully this ends up being the truth this time and that we actually have production start up next year with the Cybertruck. But I do have some bad news for those of you that have reservations on the Cybertruck. First bad news, there is going to be price increases. Now, the exact amount hasn't been released yet, and I'm sure that the reason it hasn't been released yet is Tesla's probably not sure if they can actually start producing it next year, so they're not sure if they can actually give the promised prices they're thinking about right now, right? They just have to wait until they can actually do something. So all we know is the prices are going to go up. Originally, the price was going to start at like $39,000 for a base model, and then a fully loaded one was going to start at like $69,000. Just, it's not realistic anymore, especially with inflation and just, yeah, today's EV market in general. I would not be shocked if the starting price, similar to what you can see with the starting price of like the Model 3 and the Model Y increases, is somewhere in the $50,000 to maybe even $60,000 range. I know, it sounds crazy, but it's just what the market's doing. And then fully loaded is probably going to be over $100,000 considering today's EV prices. And so, yeah. Bad news for those of you that have reservations, you're not going to be getting a tri-motor truck for $70,000 that can beat Lamborghinis in drag races. You're going to be getting a tri-motor truck for probably $100,000+ at this point, and you might get it next year, but with all of the delays that keep happening, it might be the year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that, and well, yeah, we'll see what happens. That's all I got to say about the Cybertruck. Now, moving from that to the Semitruck, apparently we're finally going to get this at the end of this year, not next year. So this is a lot closer, which is pretty exciting. If you guys don't know, the Tesla Semitruck is actually a really cool concept. Obviously fully electric, and there's going to be a version that's going to have 500 miles of range. Now the thing that I've struggled to find is if that range is loaded or unloaded. With some of the wording it sounds like that is loaded, but then some of the wording it sounds like that is unloaded. So if you happen to know, and please be honest, put that in the comment section down below if this is actually 500 miles of range loaded, because if that is true, that is very impressive. But still, even if it was unloaded, the other specs of the truck are pretty impressive overall. So energy consumption, less than 2 kWh/mile, which I think is pretty cool. Acceleration with 80,000 pounds, 20 seconds, 0 to 60, which is also awesome. And then it can go 60 miles an hour, up a 5% grade, which is pretty crazy. And the thing that's cool about an electric semi-truck is it's not going to change with the acceleration or with, you know, in terms of the performance going up a grade when it goes up in elevation, because it doesn't need air, right? It doesn't need airflow, so that's pretty cool. And then apparently this is going to make it so that you're going to save massive amounts, right, in fuel costs. Now in terms of pricing, when they initially announced the truck, it was going to have like a base price somewhere in like the 150s, and then fully loaded it was going to be somewhere in the 200s roughly. Now obviously tons of price increases over the last few years with vehicles and semi-trucks as well, and so we will see what the final pricing ends up being, but maybe Tesla will stick to that pricing because this is a completely new market for them, right? It's not vehicles to just regular everyday people. This is semi-trucks which are used by businesses, and so when you try to do a big price hike on a business that has a reservation with you, that's not exactly as easy to do as a regular average Joe. It's just sad, but it's the world that we live in. And so now let's dive into what this means for the overall EV market. So first off, with the Tesla Cybertruck, if Tesla actually gets the Cybertruck out, is it going to shock the world like what every single Tesla fanboy says? The answer is no, probably not, because at this point we have the Ford F-150 Lightning, we have the Hummer EV, we have the Rivian R1T, we're about to have a Ram 1500 EV, we're also about to have a Chevy Silverado EV as well, and with Tesla's history of delays, I bet that the Ram 1500 EV and the Silverado EV will probably be out before the Tesla Cybertruck. And so the Cybertruck isn't entering a world where it's the only electric pickup truck like what was supposed to originally happen. It's entering a world where it already has a bunch of competition that is also going to be improved as time goes on. Like, I'm sure by the time the Tesla Cybertruck comes out, the Ford F-150 Lightning will probably be on another iteration of itself to make improvements with range, acceleration, towing capacity, towing range, all of that fun stuff that's important for pickup trucks. And so the Tesla Cybertruck at this point is just going to be another electric pickup truck. It's cool that it's coming from Tesla. It's probably going to have some weird styling and it's going to have some cool Tesla stuff, but I don't really think it's going to move the ball forward at this point because the other automakers have already beat Tesla to the punch. And I know that Tesla fanboys are going to be keyboarding away and talking about how Tesla is different and how I don't know what I'm talking about because there's so many things in the works with Tesla that just are just too big and amazing for my little brain to understand. But I just look at things at face value, and at face value, I can see the quality of Tesla's current product, and I can kind of put that over into what the quality will be like on the Cybertruck and go, well, it'll be a nice attempt. But anyways, I think they'll still sell Tesla Cybertrucks in pretty large numbers, but they're not going to have market dominance like what they've had with the Model 3, for example. Moving from that to the semi-truck. Like I kind of said earlier in the video, I hope that 500 miles is towing range. I really hope that's towing range, because if it's not, then this truck is going to be a complete flop. Because look at the F-150 Lightning. And I know this is a completely different automaker, but this just applies across the board with electric vehicles. Once you hook a trailer up to that truck, its towing range goes completely away. With the Lightning, TfL did a test where they hooked a 6,000 pound trailer up to the truck and they got like 70 miles of range off of a truck that's supposed to get 320 miles of range unloaded. So like that's a huge decrease. And so if we put that over to the semi-truck, right, if it goes from 500 miles of range to like 100 miles of range or even 150 miles of range, that is not practical for semi-truck drivers whatsoever. They can't be stopping every 150 miles to go and charge up their truck for an hour. They will lose so much money. Even though they'll be saving money in fuel costs, they'll be losing so much money in terms of the time spent to charge it up that it just won't make sense. So hopefully we have extremely fast charging times with reasonably sized battery packs. And yes, hopefully that range, again, is for a truck that is fully loaded. If that is for a truck that's fully loaded, this will not fundamentally change shipping initially, but I think that it will push us into a direction that will eventually change shipping. I think this is going to push a lot more, and there already are trucks out there that are hybrids, but I think it's going to push a lot more people to hybrids. And then I think you're going to have a lot of like shipping that is done in shorter segments with these fully electric trucks, and so it's going to kind of change things with businesses, and it'll probably make it so that we can have less expensive shipping, which would be really cool. Again, over shorter distances, but I think for the long distance stuff, it's going to be with just the regular diesel trucks and with the hybrids that are starting to come onto the market. And so again, this truck is a really cool concept. I don't really think it's going to shock the market too much. Everyone, again, with Tesla always wants to say that it's going to shock the market, but I think that it's going to move the ball forward if Tesla actually gets this out by the end of the year. But once we see real life testing, real world testing, then we're going to see what this truck is actually capable of. And so hopefully it does what Tesla says it's going to do. Let me know what you guys think on this whole topic. And well, this video is about to be summed up. So those of you that are hardcore Tesla fanboys that get butthurt over anything negative said about Tesla, you can now take a deep breath and sit down and relax because, well, I'll see you guys.